By any metric, Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist is a monumental literary success. It has sold tens of millions of copies, been translated into over 80 languages, and found its way into the hands of sitting U.S. presidents and international pop stars. But that global legacy masks a staggering contradiction. When the book was initially released in Coelho's native Brazil, it sold exactly one copy in its entire first week. The publisher immediately deemed the project a commercial failure. They wiped their hands of it, canceled Coelho's contract, and returned the rights to the author. At 41 years old, Coelho was dropped and desperate. To survive this failure, Coelho had to actively practice the exact concepts he had just written about in his fictional fable. He had to live his own metaphor. Seen through Coelho's own life, the book acts less like a mystical fairy tale and more like a record of how to keep walking when every external signal tells you to quit. The fable begins with Santiago, a young shepherd. His life is defined by the predictable routines of the Andalusian countryside. He knows his terrain, he knows how to shear his flock, he knows how to survive. But his peace is repeatedly disrupted by a recurring dream. The dream points him toward a specific destination, a hidden treasure waiting for him thousands of miles away at the Egyptian pyramids. Santiago faces a choice. He can stay in Andalusia, where he is guaranteed food and water, or he can risk his life for a treasure he has only seen in his sleep. This is the same friction Coelho felt while standing at the doors of new publishers, with a manuscript everyone else had rejected. The quest only moves forward once Santiago decides that his current life is no longer enough to satisfy him. He has to give up his sheep to find his treasure. Santiago's catalyst arrives in the form of a mysterious old man in a town plaza, Melchizedek, the king of Salem. The king introduces a core philosophy, the personal legend. He defines this as the one thing a person has always wanted to accomplish in life. The king makes a highly optimistic promise. When you truly want to achieve your personal legend, the entire universe conspires to help you do it. But he also outlines a counterforce. We can see this dynamic in this minimalist timeline. Notice the bright point representing that initial ambition. As time passes, the weight of societal pressure and daily routine begins dropping heavy blocks onto the timeline, convincing people that their goal is impossible. This negative weight actively buries that original desire. Eventually, the person simply accepts a mundane, predictable existence. Pursuing a personal legend requires deliberate, active rebellion against the gravity of ordinary life. To explain how to navigate this, the king tells a parable about a boy tasked with exploring a beautiful palace while carrying a teaspoon holding 2 drops of oil. The lesson is that you must actively observe the marvels of the world without ever spilling the oil. You have to chase the dream while maintaining your grounding responsibilities. Santiago takes the irreversible leap. He sells his beloved flock of sheep to a friend and buys a boat ticket to cross the strait into Africa. In the real world, Coelho made his own leap. He refused to accept the failure of his book, took his manuscript back, and physically knocked on the doors of competing publishers. To truly commit to the objective, you have to burn the boats. You have to leave the sheep and the canceled contracts behind to move forward. The idea that the universe conspires to help you does not mean the path will be free of sudden disasters. Santiago arrives in the bustling port city of Tangier and immediately faces a catastrophe. Within hours of stepping off the boat, he trusts the wrong person. He is conned, robbed of every penny he made from his sheep, and left standing in a country where he does not speak a word of the language. He hits rock bottom. He is isolated and financially ruined, standing paralyzed while the foreign world rushes past him. Every ambition eventually faces this exact test, the moment when reality violently clashes with the dream. Standing in the empty market, Santiago faces a choice. He can view himself as the victim of a thief or as an adventurer seeking a treasure. He pulls out the stones given to him by the king. He leans into the omens and reframes his total financial ruin as a necessary step in the journey, rather than a dead end. Coelho applied this exact mindset. His relentless persistence eventually convinced a second publisher to print his book. From there, word of mouth took hold, pushing the fable from obscure bookstores to the top of international charts. The scale of the book's success stands as the physical proof that the universe did, eventually, conspire to help him. In the desert or the boardroom, the arrival is secondary to the person who reaches it. The real value is the resilience that comes from refusing to let a personal legend die.